Hi, my name is Noor Johnson. I'm a research scientist at the National Snow and Ice Data Center at the University of Colorado Boulder. I'm giving a talk today entitled Looking Back, Looking Ahead, the ELOKA Program at 15 years. Since 2005, the Exchange for Local Observations and Knowledge of the Arctic has fostered collaborations and learning between resident Arctic experts and visiting researchers to facilitate the collection, preservation, exchange, and use of local observations and Indigenous knowledge of the Arctic. ELOKA provides data management and user support in partnership with Indigenous communities and organizations to ensure that their data and knowledge are ethically and equitably managed, shared, and used in order to uphold knowledge and data sovereignty for Arctic residents. ELOKA was initially funded in 2005 under the NSF Small Grants for Exploratory Research Program, and in 2007 under the International Polar Year and Arctic Observing Network programs. ELOKA had subsequent funding from the National Science Foundation in 2009, 2012, 2016, and 2021. The early years of ELOKA focused on establishing and documenting best practices for the secure storage of data and developing the ELOKA website as the hub for community project subsites. In these early years, ELOKA began to develop an international network of project partners. These are some of the partner gatherings that ELOKA has hosted, or going back to 2008, with the first workshop held in Anchorage. In subsequent phases, ELOKA transitioned into an operational, of which as the environment project and seasonal observation network, or CISONet, which is now the Alaska Arctic Observatory and Knowledge Hub, have been operational for about a decade. Beginning in 2012, ELOKA solidified a set of core services, including consulting with principal investigators on the development of data management plans, supporting and training for data management activities, documenting and archiving data, and designing and implementing basic applications such as websites and interactive mapping tools. Over the past 10 years, ELOKA has developed and refined a community data management system, which is comprised of three elements. The first, collaborative data stewardship, is focused on solutions to data management needs, such as common frameworks, project-specific adaptations, the use of agile development to tailor software to the specific needs of our partners, and enabling for interoperability. A second area, implementing requirements and best practices, is focused on the governance context in which data management is implemented. Some of these requirements and best practices include upholding the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, the implementation of the fair and care data principles, recognition and implementation of land claims and treaties, and the tribal governance context. And a final area, building capacity and community, focuses on trust building, collaborative scholarship, and building capacity to use and manage technology at the community level. Since ELOKA was established in 2005, a lot has changed in Arctic research and in the research context more broadly. And one of the major areas is changes in data management needs and infrastructure. We've seen the growth of big data and a reorganization of storage and processing infrastructure and a shift to digital storage and online storage and applications. We've seen a growth of open data efforts and a lot of collaborative work to develop guidelines such as the FAIR principle, a significant growth in the use of apps to collect and access data in the field and using mobile technologies. And alongside of this is the growth of citizen science and community-based monitoring programs that often use and make use of these apps to collect and access and share data. And a final area is an area of equity issues and the growth of the digital divide and the growing recognition that Technology does not solve problems because it exists in a social context. And so we need to look at those issues of equity and distribution and access in order to make data management systems work for everybody, and particularly for Arctic residents. Another area that we've seen a lot of change is in Indigenous research and data sovereignty, the growth of networks within the United States and internationally focusing specifically on data sovereignty, the development of the CARE principles to accompany the FAIR principles, the growth of Indigenous research frameworks and strategies such as the National Inuit Strategy on Research that Inuit Tapiriit Kanatami developed, as well as new platforms for Arctic Indigenous observations and knowledge through the Local Environmental Observer Network, the Indigenous Sentinels Network, and others. So looking ahead, ELOKA has tried to understand some of these large trends and to shift our focus slightly. We're still working on upholding community data management, supporting the needs of our partners, and we're continuing to work with our long-term network of partners. But we're also working on developing a framework for use and usability of these tools and technologies that we're supporting. So one area that we're going to be working on is how to design and enhance data applications to better address community needs and values, to ethically and equitably store and share data, and to connect to broader information sharing architectures. And in particular, we'll be developing use cases and working with partners in a co-production context to really understand how the tools that we've developed are being used and how they can be enhanced to better serve the needs of community members. A second area is supporting co-production of knowledge and shared learning. We're working on this through the development of working groups on place names and cultural atlases, and another working group on long-term observational data. These groups are sharing their knowledge and their learning and working together to document and contribute to the use and usability framework for understanding how these community data management systems are working. Another area is the development of a framework for learning and evaluation for ELOKA. And finally, we're working on how to address gaps in digital access, technical capacity, and literacy through network trainings, through supporting partners in hiring and training local technical leads and staff, and through co-creation across generations to incorporate non-technical approaches, such as the significant role of Indigenous ways of telling stories and sharing information in verbal ways of transmission through story, through song, through prayer together. So looking to incorporate those as well. Presentation, have questions, feel free to Noor Johnson, you. And we'd just like to thank the community members and partners who've contributed their time and knowledge as partners in our work, and to recognize the National Science Foundation for supporting the ELOKA program for many years, most recently under the award 203-2423. Thank you very much.